Hey guys, it's HD1 here, and and as you can see in the thumbnail, we'll be covering today Big Navi. AMD showed off Big Navi yesterday. All the three cards that they showed off. We're gonna be talking about the specs and the prices, plus a DLSS competitor, and the ray tracing performance. So let's get into it. So starting off with the RX 6900 XT, the big boy. This is the 80 CU card that doesn't go to 2.4 gigahertz like the leaks are saying, but I have a good feeling that you might be able to overclock it that high, just because you're able to get such high clocks on the PlayStation and all that stuff, and it's the same architecture. So there's probably a good chance that some of these cards might be good at overclocking. Um, all these cards are gonna be using AMD calls Infinity Cache. Basically, it allows them to use a lower memory bus on all these cards. So all these cards have a 256 megabyte memory bus. So by not going like 384 and stuff like that, they're able to save power. They're able to save on the power consumption, which is why these cards don't use as much power as the NVidia ones. You might think this is on 7 nanometer plus, but all these cards are on TSMC 7 the same TSMC 7 nanometer that the 5700 XT is on. AMD's finally bring up the transistor count, because remember last gen the 5700 XT only had 10.3 billion transistors, and now they're pushing it to 26.8 billion. 6900 XT is Navi 21. All these GPUs that they showed off, the 6900 XT, 6800 XT, 6800 are all Navi 21. 6800 XT, 6800 are cut down versions of it. So AMD is gonna release this card at $1,000, and it's supposed to be a 3090 competitor. As you can see in the slides, this is supposed to as you can see in the AMD slides, it's supposed to perform similarly or slightly better or worse to a 3090. But the key thing you have to realize is that in these slides they have rage mode and smart access memory on. What rage mode is basically they'll call it auto overclock, but it's more like they increase the power limit. Like the power limit slider on MSI Afterburner, the power limit on Wattman, they basically increase that. And AMD Smart Memory Access, if you have like a 500 series 500 series motherboard, 5000 series Ryzen CPU, and one of these RX 6000 GPUs, the CPU and the GPU can share its memory, which will bring down the latency, give you more FPS, all that stuff. So basically, this is not really stock for stock. This is like the kind of in a way overclocking it. Smart access memory, we can let that go, since if you have a Ryzen 5000 CPU, and a 500 series board, you're gonna have that on. So yeah, but rage is straight up overclocking in a way. So yeah, you have to be careful, because some of these slides say rage mode, smart access memory. So yeah, so that's a 6900 XT. The 6800 XT, 72 CU card, cut down from to 6900 XT. This thing boosts up to 2.25 gigahertz, the same clock speed as the game clock is 2.15 gigahertz, and the boost clock is 2.25 gigahertz, same as the 6900 XT. This again has a 256-bit memory bus, 16 gigabytes of VRAM. All three of these cards have 16 gigabytes of VRAM and a 256-bit bus. Same amount of Infinity Cache through all three of these cards. The 6900 XT and the 6800 XT both have a 300 watt TDP. And the way that they're probably getting the 6900 XT to 300 watts is because they're probably binning like the best of the best, and they're making them 6900 XTs. The same way that they made the 3950X not consume as much power compared to like the 3900X. This card again has 26.8 billion transistors. This is a cut down version, and this will be $650. $50 cheaper than the 3080. Now let's see how this directly compares against the 3080s. Remember, I forgot to say this is AMD's marketing slides, so take them with a grain of salt because they might give themselves like an extra 5% stuff like that. Usually AMD's marketing slides are accurate, but like wait for third party reviews. So in 4K gaming, AMD found that the 6000 XT beats the 3080. I don't think this slide has rage mode or any of that stuff. I don't think this slide has rage mode or any of this stuff on. So yeah, this should be stock to stock, or yeah, this should be stock to stock. As you can see, well, the 6000 XT does seem very, very competitive to the 3080 and should use less power than the 3080. So the last card they showed off was the 6800, the 60 CU variant. It's just slightly lower clocked than the rest of them. This one has a 1815 megahertz clock speed and game clock. The clock speed should be around most of the times when you're playing game, and a boost to 2.105 giga 2105 megahertz. Again, 256-bit bus. Again, 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Again, 128 megabytes of Infinity Cache. But this time, the 6800 has 250 watts TDP. Since it's 60 CUs versus 80, plus the lower clock speed should give it, should lower the power consumption. This is again a really cut down version of the big Navi 21, the 80 CU card, and this will be $580, $80 more expensive than the 3070. On AMD's marketing slides, well, what they're claiming, the most important part is claiming, is that in 4K it should beat the 2080 Ti. And since we all saw the 3070 reviews, we know that the 3070 is about on par with the 2080 Ti. Also in this marketing slide, you can clearly see they have smart access memory on. So unless you only get this performance only if you have like a Ryzen 5000 CPU, 500 series motherboard, etc. So be careful again, like I said. If you don't have Radeon 5000 plus the 500 series motherboard, you're not gonna get the performance like you see on these charts. So AMD claims that it's 6800 beat in 4K 60. In 1440p, they give us 1440p benchmarks. Yeah, it beats the 2080 Ti also in 1440p. Remember, this also has smart access memory on this slide. They're using it. So, like I said before, Ryzen 5000 500 series motherboard if you want that performance. Though I do believe this marketing slide the most, just because Ampere is scaled not the best at 1440p, and since it's more of a compute architecture compared to gaming, and how there's a good chance it's gonna be Ampere in lower resolutions. So, like I said in the title, I said and ray tracing and DLSS competitor. Let's get into that right now. So, for ray tracing performance, on the footnotes of the AMD presentation, video cards are found. Well, a lot of people found that the ray tracing performance seems to be in between 2080 Ti and the 3080. Which gives NVidia the performance lead in ray tracing. But you have to remember this is AMD's first generation of ray tracing, so at the very least they're being Turing. So yeah, this means that this doesn't equate to real world ray tracing because some games might do it differently than how this benchmark did it. So I would say wait for third party reviews if you truly want to know how these AMD cards compared to NVIDIA cards when it comes to ray tracing and the DLS competitor. So about this DLSS competitor, I hate saying this word DLSS. So about this DLSS competitor, it's called super resolution. You may have saw AMD glimpse past that, slyly talk about how the fidelity FX and the DX12, how they have DX12 Ultimate and fidelity FX. Basically, Tim from How to Unbox asked AMD if that's the DLSS competitor, and they said it is. They said what's the word it is, and they plan on having it in like a few more games, and they plan on having it in a few more games, and it's not gonna be out like probably by 2021, and they're still working on it. If you want to see that, I'll link all the sources I got all this information from, and I'll link that how to unbox video down in the description below. You can find it there. So yeah, AMD might have DLSS. The leaks are saying that it's gonna look worse than DLSS, but improve the resolution. If you think about it, in a way, AMD kind of does have a DLSS competitor in a way, because Radeon Boost plus image sharpening could not be that bad if you think about it, because Boost could give you the FPS boost while lowering the image quality, while image sharpening could keep the image quality up. I don't know if it works that way, but yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be cool if it does. I'm not sure if it does work that way, but someone should test it. But if it does, well, that alone could be a DLSS competitor. So yeah, this is pretty close to the end of this video. 2021 DLSS competitor. Ray tracing is worse than Ampere. Out of all these cards, actually, I like all these cards to be honest. The 6700 beats the 3070 will beat the 3070, and so they'll charge $80 more. The 6800, sorry, did I say 6700? If I said that, I meant 6800. The 6800 XT will tie, maybe win, or slightly lose to the 3090. I'm sorry, 3080. The 3080, and while it's charging $50 less, slightly worse ray tracing performance. Remember, these games will get, since AMD's in the consoles, the game will get, all these games will get optimized for AMD's version of ray tracing, so that might help boost their performance. $50 lower, well, a lot of people are expecting $100 lower, but this is AMD. They've done that before, and people never really bought their cards, so they're trying a different game. And the 6900 XT, well, that's much better value than the 3090. The only way I could see someone buying a 3090 over the 6900 XT is if they want the VRAM, or NVIDIA's better RTX and DLSS and all that stuff. But the 6900 XT looks pretty good, $500 cheaper than the 3090. Remember, all these cards have way more VRAM compared to the NVIDIA counterpart, except for the 6900 XT versus 3090. 3090 has more VRAM. So yeah, this is the end of the video. Please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Out of curiosity, did anyone get like a 3070? So yeah, please tell me down below if you guys were able to get a 3070. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Bye.